All right, Choice.
Yes, sir.
Choice, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Well, I grew up in Compton. Was born in 1963. My mom, my dad, my dad was a cold-hearted alcoholic, and he introduced my mom to it. He did a little heroin. My mom never did that. I have one brother and one sister. Uh, I want to share something with you it was private, but I think I need to get it off my chest because it's something that you should hear and know, and it's real. A dysfunctional family will affect you. They can be dysfunctional mentally, physically, and just hurt you. And you won't know it until you get older because it's the experience that you live as a child. I'll say it again. It's the experience that you live as a child. And as you get older, if you don't experience anything else, because you've become conditioned to your neighborhood, it's where you're comfortable at, you know, it's all you're gonna know. And you use it unconsciously, and it's the wrong thing to use. My name is Choice McReynolds, and I just got out of prison about a year and a half ago. I spent 31 years in for a murder, and I want to share my story with you. And I believe that it all started with my family. As I was growing up, I never wanted to be like my dad because I watched him abuse my mom. And then when they were separated, I watched him rape my mom. And it wasn't just once. It was about 4 or 5 times. My mom would be screaming in her room. Me and my brother were a year apart. My sister's the oldest. Um, I would hear my mom, my brother would hear. So the second time he did it, me and my brother said, we're gonna get a gun. The only thing that we could get was a pellet gun, but it looked real enough for us to threaten my father with. My father was an alcoholic. He was a gambler, but he handled his business. He owned 2 liquor stores and he worked for the post office for 35 years and retired, all while he was an alcoholic. The doctor told him, if you stop drinking, you're gonna die. So he tried to stop and he died 4 years ago. Um, my life began one day with this little brother named OC. He was my partner. He was a little older than me. And it was just a thing where he liked me and I liked him. We got along. He had some PCP one day. No, excuse me, it wasn't PCP, it was dust. He used to call it lovely. And he introduced me to it. I smoked it. And it was the first time I ever got high in my life. I really didn't know how to handle it, but it was a good thing that he and I were in my garage where no one could see him slapping the crap out of me because I was tripping. I came out of that and I thought I liked the high. So that's where I started getting high at. I went from lovely to PCP, and at this time, I believe I was in the 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade, going to Enterprise Junior High School. And my whole neighborhood was Bloods. We used to call them treetops. And at some point, which I don't remember, they changed from treetop to Trag New. And I was one of the first guys to represent Trag New by beating a guy with a baseball bat. I think back on it, I care and I don't care because he was a guy that was doing things to women in the neighborhood that shouldn't have went down. So I began my life of crime, burglarizing, robbing, stealing from my family, all while I'm on PCP. I end up smoking a lot of weed. In 1981, I was introduced to cocaine through my sister. And my sister, she would sell her body, do anything, you know. I guess my sister is kind of like me, but she's a female. That started my life of just knowing how to feel good on drugs because I never felt good being myself. I really hope you can understand and relate to what I'm saying or feel what I'm saying because I was lost. I was turned out. I mean turned out by people that I thought were my friends. In 1983, we changed our park, a city park, which name is Tragnew. We changed it to a black park. And we started claiming Tragnew, which were Crips. And I began to fight more. I fought several people. And I learned how to fight. I was a Golden Gloves title champion. I could have went to the '84 Olympics. I was born and raised in Compton. Started fighting for Shingway Boxing Club on Broadway. And I was pretty good. It was like the only thing I was really, really good at because I was a slow learner because I got no help at home. And by not getting any help at home, that told me that my mom didn't really care. So back to the pellet gun. Me and my brother go get a gun, and we tried to get a real gun, but we only got a pellet gun. So when my dad came back over there, he started harassing my mom, and me and my brother opened the door. He had my mom in a chokehold, bent over on the bed, and we pulled the gun on him. He jumped off of her and tried to go to the window. My brother said, if you go out, I'm gonna shoot you right in the head. He didn't have no idea it was a pellet gun. But it was enough to scare him not to come to our house anymore and do that to my mom. I ain't jumping through the story. I'm being real as I can be and honest. Some things you'll hear you won't like, but it's okay because it's my life. And I'll tell you who I am now at the end. My mom ended up messing with this guy named Walter. And Walter was a stone cold alcoholic, worse than my mom. Hard liquor, whiskey. He ends up flipping my mom to drink harder and more, and she no longer cared about us. She didn't care if we had clothes, shoes, or even if we went to school. And as children, we didn't know any better. We accepted what it was, so we started staying outside as late as we want, fixing our own food. You know, the food kind of food a kid fixes as a child is junk food if you don't burn it. Well, I end up being one of the head guys for Tragnew Park. I did some things that I regret as far as hurting other people. Yeah, and I regret it, I really do. I hurt people in a way that it's kind of like torture. Around that time, this was going on 1983, I started using cocaine. I smoked Primos. And I didn't really know how to handle the addiction. I thought I did, but as a stupid kid, immature, don't know shit, I couldn't. I started robbing. I started stealing from my family, my grandparents. And my grandparents were the stone to my family. They were the key. When my grandparents said it, it was done. Whenever my grandmother said she wanted to go wherever, it was done. So when she passed away, my family passed away too because they all separated. And my mom, like I said, was an alcoholic. And she was an alcoholic in my life for at least 15 years or more. And I never lost respect for my mom. Even to this day, I tell my mom, you did what you had to do because I'm here now. But my attitude towards life is like what she had when she was drinking. Don't care, just give up, but don't hurt anybody. You know, work for what you want, pay for what you want, no matter if it's drugs or an office job, just pay for what you want. That's where my life is right now. Going back to 83, I started smoking Primos. My sister introduced me to it. I started robbing, I started stealing, and I ended up going to the youth authority, not the youth authority, I ended up going to Los Patrinos, first juvenile facility I went to when I was about 15, about 14 years old, going on 15. Actually, I take that back. I was 15 going on 16 because my son was born when I was 16. He's 42 right now. He'll be 43 next year, and he rests in peace. I'll share that with you. I started stealing, robbing, and gangbanging. I thought drive-bys was the thing to do. We wanted to take over a neighborhood. We're gonna go take it over, shoot some guys up. It wasn't an initiation. It was just something fun to do because we were stupid. Again, it goes back to my family, not caring, not raising. I was a kid that stayed out all night long if I wanted to. If I wanted to go to school, I'd go to school. At one time in my life, my mother put me on the yellow bus for slow people because I was a slow learner. And me and my brother took that same pellet gun the second day he came and went up to the driver's window and told him, if you ever come here again, I'm gonna put a bullet in your head. So he never came back. My mom never knew. The guy she was with, Walter, he used to get robbed. He was an LAX airline mechanic, made good money. And I used to rob him before he went to my house because he would cash his check up at Nick's check cashing place. And I'd wait for him in the alley. I knew that was guaranteed money. Walter was a scary guy, but when he get drunk, he was a mean guy to a woman, but he was a punk to a man. So I robbed him about 3 times, and I didn't feel anything about it because I didn't think he treated my mom the way she should have been treated. But he was nice to her. He gave her what she wanted: alcohol, money, seduction. I ended up doing a burglary on a liquor store. And coincidentally, the only thing I took out the liquor store was liquor. I didn't even grab the money in the register. I just took liquor. So I went back home and I gave my mom a big gallon of Johnny Walker Red. Big gallon. Because as long as she drunk, she ain't worried about us. I realized that. And she said, if you're gonna get high, you make your little clubhouse in the garage. You can smoke, do what you want to do. Why would a mom say do what you want to do? Because she's not being a parent and don't know any better. So I end up on this burglary going to Los Patrinos, where it wasn't that bad because I got the chance to shower every day. I got brand new shoes, I got clothes. Even though the jail clothes, I got them. I end up going from Los Patrinos to the youth authority 3 months after I got out of Los Patrinos. I spent 6 months in, I got out 3 months later, I go to the youth authority. I go to the youth authority as a juvenile, and I stayed in the youth authority for 4 years. They had a boxing team there, and I got on it, and I shined. I boxed real good. And the 84 Olympics I could have went to, but my stupidity, my addiction, and no support, I did what I could know best, what made me comfortable. I went back to doing it. So I ended up going to the youth authority. I did 5 years in YTS. My YA number is 30538, and this is up to the year 1986. And I believe I'm 16 going on 17 years old. No, I take that back. I'm 19 years old, and I'm introduced to prison. One of the first prisons I hit was Avenal State Prison. And as the guys in prison say, it's rocking and rolling up there. So I go up in prison, and I'm an active gang member, a general in my neighborhood. I start buffing iron, and I'm getting big. I swell up to about a 19 and a half. I'm squatting 650. I'm looking like a real gorilla to the other guys in prison. And this ain't no lie, what I'm telling you. You can check it all with my YA number. So this guy was talking to me one day, and I knew in order to survive in prison, you act crazy. You know, you act like you really care, but you don't care. Well, I'm going to beat you down if you don't do this the way I want you to do it. If I tell you take 2 matches out the book and you take 3, I'm going to stab you. That was the attitude you had to have in prison back then, or you would get stabbed. So one day we had a meeting, everybody from Compton, and the guys on the yard surprised me. They say, man, you're the most maturest of us, and you need to run the car. I guess I got that maturity from Los Patrinos. So I start dictating what's going on, this and that. And that actually conditions your mind to go on because you're profiting from it. So you don't see no wrong in it. Shit. I tell this dude, man, look, you need to get $15 worth of store. You get 15, and they're dropping it off at your bed. You think I'm going to tell them to stop? You think you're going to see something wrong in that? Remember, I had no home training. I didn't really have no schooling. I was a guy that couldn't read, and I was in junior high school. I couldn't comprehend, I couldn't spell, and I didn't know math. I knew how to get to 100. I knew how to count money by sight, but if you put it on paper, I have a problem with it. And I was dyslexic and slow as a learner. So I end up running the car, and I went to prison in 86. I got out in 88. I stayed out 31 days and went back. The first time I went, I had 3 years. Second time I went back, I had 4 years. Third time I went back, I did 8 years. Fourth time I went back, I did close to 9 years. The fifth time I went back, this is all CDC, under the CDC number of D62281. I went back, and this was around, I think, my 5th or 6th trip to prison. And I was going back because I didn't care. I knew I could do the time, and I knew I'm going to be looked out for in there. It's just how it is. So I go back to prison for the 6th time, somewhere in the 90s, I don't remember. And just a little later than that. I believe I did 14 years when I went back. I don't remember the year or anything. and I get out. I've done a total of maybe 36, 38 years in prison. And I'm 59, 58 years old. You do the math on how long I've been on the street. I told a gentleman that's doing the interview that I just spent 31 years in prison. But I did do 31, but not consecutive. The most time I did consecutive was 16, 14 and 16, back to back. I got out, shot a guy, you know. So here I am now. After all that time, I've been out 18 months, struggling, living on Skid Row, still thinking I'm the enforcer. That kid's mine, the child mine. Each time I went to prison, it was for a robbery, strong arm robbery, robbery with a weapon, and murder. I've even been convicted of a rape that wasn't even a rape. You know, me and this girl was 24 or 25. Matter of fact, she was 29. So I had the paperwork. And I was 16. And I got convicted, I was 15, and I got convicted of raping her. And as the years turned, the conviction was overturned by the FBI or someone because I was a juvenile and she was the adult and trying to extort my mom because she was a drunk. I've been out about 18 months. The parole will talk to you as if you're a kid. They talk at you. You have to go in there and kiss their ass in order to get something done. The things that they tell you in prison that are waiting for you when you get out here is not here. I've been out 18 months and I've beat about 17 people up. I've stabbed 2 people, and I was going to murder someone else. When I was in prison, all those times, my homies in prison that were older than me shared something with me that they told me, man, you're a dummy. You're a dumbass, you know. Not saying in how you have your structure amongst your people, but literally, you can't read a book or something. So I was in Folsom prison, and my cellie was a Muslim brother, and he influenced me to learn. So I began learning right there, and I learned some things about myself that I liked and didn't like. Long story short, I'm able to read, able to comprehend, and I read at an excellent level. I bet people down on Skid Row right now today, they can't beat me in math. You can't beat me in spelling. And I can name the last 30 Super Bowls in a row, team for team. If you can do it, I'll give you $1,000 out of my pocket. Nobody has won yet. That's a fact. I educated myself in psychology. I like to talk. I didn't really get deep into my story because it hurts me to know that that was me. You know, I have a son, had a son. He's 42 right now. He'll be 43 July 1st. I always told myself that I'd never be like my dad. I've never hit a woman because
of the abuse that my dad did to my mom. I ended up being like my father because I only held my son when he was a baby. I'm afraid to fight him because I'm addicted to drugs. I'm homeless. I live on Skid Row. I never even owned I never even owned a suit in my life. I never bought a car or anything. It's like I'm an adult that can only function in prison. And that's why it's easy for me to commit a crime, to go back. I told myself I won't commit a felony, but I never told myself I won't go back. My son died, and I never knew it. I talked to my son one day, and this is for every man. I talked to my son, and in a conversation, he said, "Okay, Dad, I got it." I said, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "My dad." So I changed my life because I don't want to be incarcerated no more. I'm running on probation because they put you in places where they're infested with bed bugs and roaches and stuff. And I was going to stay there. Some people say I'd rather be in a halfway house or somewhere than prison. I want to be somewhere where there are bed bugs and big roaches. I mean, all in your bed, all in your pillowcase. But the probation and parole is paying these people. Today, I don't hurt nobody. I don't hurt nobody because I don't want to be hurt. Do I want a life? Absolutely, I do. I'm a certified welder. I do AC, air conditioning, heating. I don't even have the strength to go get a job because my feet hurt. They hurt from walking, having to defend yourself. And I know a lot of people down here alive, and they know I'll kill them if you fuck with me. I gave my life to Christ, and it feels like I'm just singing. My mom is gone, even though my mother was an alcoholic. My mom never gave up on me. I went to prison, and she's always looked out for me. Send me whatever I need. Her sisters tell her that's an enabler. She said, "That's my fucking baby, and I'm always looking out for her." And I can't even see my mom. So you never know, man, what's going on in another man's heart. You never know. That's why you should be kind to everybody. Uh, if you did the math on my time, I've only been out of prison as an adult, maybe 20 months or something. So I'm slow, but I'm an addict. I smoke crack. I smoke crack to this day. I tell myself I'll probably only live about 35 more years. Do I want a life? Do I want a job? Yeah. And it's hard to do it. I lost my IDs, my social security card 3 months ago, and I've never went to get another one. Yeah, it's like I'm an adult man, but I make childish decisions because I need someone to hold me. And that's sad. But grown people need it. Yeah. So you got to be aware of what's going on with you in your life. I don't ever want to go back to prison. Even though I can go to prison and I go to PIA and get a job, I elevate. I elevate. I don't stay stagnated in one place. I get lead man jobs. When I get out here, I get lost mentally. And I do cocaine, I smoke crack, and I like to get a girl and have fun, smoking dope, sexual stuff. And that's an addiction in itself. It's like your penis don't even rise unless you're doing that, because I've conditioned myself in my mind to that. I've never shared this with no one. When you grow up in the system, you become the system. I treat people the way the guards treated me, some good, some bad. I try to stay as clean as I can, groomed up. So when someone looks at me, they'll say, oh, he's not homeless, you know, he might be on some dope. It's all a facade. Continuing to fool myself that what I'm doing is okay. And I think it is. I have no will to go anywhere. I have no one in my life to care about, to give a damn. I probably don't even care about myself. Everything that I've ever had in life was given to me. I think I bought a pair of shoes and a shirt a couple of times in my life. There was some blue khakis and a blue shirt because the gang said we're gonna have a picnic. Other than that, I've been wearing jail shit all my life. YTS, Los Patrinos, Central, Juvenile Hall, Camp Munns, Camp Rocky, Kilpatrick, Avenal, Tehachapi, Folsom, Pelican Bay, Kellipat. I have been all those places. Pelican Bay was somewhere where they put you, where you can't dictate to nobody. But after a couple of guards got stabbed there, the cops eased up and the politics began in prison. That's some of my story right now.
I get very emotional when I think about my son. He's married, he has 4 kids, and I know he was a terrific guy. I held him in my hands when he was maybe a year old. But all my life in prison, I wanted to be a father, so I'd try and reach out and contact him. But once I got out of prison, I didn't give a fuck. Why that is, I don't know. Because I got out chasing the dope again, didn't really deal with my addiction. I've been through SAP programs. I became mentors in each program. I was offered an OTC counseling course, completed it. I had 3.5 years of college, Coastline Community College. And like I said, I'm a certified welder. I just throw it all away for my own feelings. I thank you for listening, and if you ever want to know something, ask me. The only thing in life I believe is permanent is change and death. Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Choice.